I've played a lot of PC games from classic to modern, and throughout time, there's been some standout games that impressed me. That being said, I am a tough critic, and when you've played as wide of a variety of games from as wide of a time frame as I have, you'll get a mixed bag of recommendations from me, be it a text adventure from the 1980s to a recent indie game. You never know what I'll suggest. That being said, today we're going to talk about 10 more games you should check out on the PC. Let's begin. It goes without saying that I adore House of the Dead. Out of all of the arcade light gun franchises I've messed with growing up, this is the one that stuck. And bear in mind, I dropped a shit ton of coins in a Silent Scope, Time Crisis, Virtua Cop, tons of them. House of the Dead was the best, period dot. Being that this is the third installment of the franchise, I actually remember playing this in the arcade. Remember my Yoshio story? Yeah, that was the first time I played this. Now bear in mind, this is the PC port, so the reloading aspect of the arcades where you pump the shotgun, that's gone, but that's fine. The game itself is tremendous fun, and it picks up as a direct sequel 21 years after the events at the Curian Mansion that we see in the original game. Also, one of the things that I also like about it is that there aren't any civilians, so you can literally just annihilate anything you see with zero regards for where your bullets go. Now, there are rescue scenes, but that's only for your partners, and you get an extra life if you save your partner, that's it. The most recent game in this franchise was House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn, but it's one of those shithole Dave & Buster games, so I don't know if I'll ever play it. I don't tend to go there very often. Valve has made tons of games, many of which I loathe, and just as many that I love. They're a studio that can make me rage one minute and applaud the next, but one thing I'll always respect about Valve is their obsession with doing things differently. They don't just make games, they kind of make experiments. Every title feels like they're testing what's possible, whether it's physics, storytelling, or just how far they can push a single mechanic, until you get so tired of it your brain melts. Portal is the perfect example of that. It's a game built entirely around one idea, the portal gun, and somehow that's all it needed. You're literally solving puzzles with teleportation and momentum, and it's glorious. It's like if physics class was fun, sarcastic, and occasionally tried to kill you. The simplicity is its genius. No combat, no filler, just brain-bending creativity and the most passive-aggressive AI since your high school math teacher. Then came Portal 2, and that's where Valve said, cool, now let's get weird. The sequel cranked everything up, more puzzles, more tools, and more personality. Gels that bounce you across rooms, lasers that burn your soul, and Wheatley, the dumbest, most lovable robot in existence. The writing in Portal 2 is peak Valve, witty, dark, and self-aware without being pretentious. GLaDOS is still the queen of sarcasm, Wheatley's chaos energy steals the show, and somehow you end up emotionally attached to a piece of potato hardware. It's creative, funny, and it's mechanically perfect. The kind of game that proves Valve at their best isn't about scale or spectacle, it's about ideas. When they focus on pure gameplay innovation, they hit a level of magic that no other developer quite replicates. Portal and Portal 2, they're not just puzzle games, they're proof that clever design and great writing can make you feel something, even if that something is confusion, followed by, holy crap, I did it. I'm a huge fan of Sierra games, and inevitably you will see most of this particular franchise on my lists. Why? Because they were pioneers of quality adventure games. They bridged the gap from text adventures to ones with some semblance of visuals. Way back when, the high-res adventures were blowing the minds of anyone with an Apple II. So here we are now in 1985, continuing the adventures of Sir Graham. Well, King Graham now. In the first game, we're challenged to find 3 treasures that were stolen, but if you paid attention to the game, Graham can find a mirror that shows a beautiful lady in a faraway land. As with most members of the male species of humanity, he gets horny and goes to Kalima to find the young woman in the mirror, and that's your plot. There's a lot of trading in this game and a bridge that fucks you over, but would it be a Sierra game if there wasn't nonsense ways to softlock your game? I think not. This is a great game, and if you want to dabble with the early history of the adventure genre, this is a great start. The most recent game was an episodic breakdown simply called King's Quest, which was developed by the Odd Gentleman, and it's a reimagining of the first few games. It's really cool. Let's stay on the topic of Sierra with Mickey's Space Adventure. Way back when, Sierra actually had the license to create Disney video games. I learned that from my conversation with Al Lowe that I had a while back, which if you haven't watched it, I'll link part 1 in the description below and at the end of this video. But in the video, he spoke about he and a few others were essentially the identity for any Disney game that was on the Apple II. Now this one, Mickey's Space Adventure, was designed by Roberta Williams, composed for by Al Lowe, and the art was designed by Mark Crow and a few others. Mark Crow would be the person who worked with Scott Murphy to create Space Quest. Now this game is simple. You basically have a UFO crash land by Mickey's house, and you have to travel to various locations with your dog Pluto to recover crystals. But be careful, you have limited oxygen. This game is designed for kids, so expect it to be for kids. But as an adult, I kind of enjoyed it. I love outer space. I think it's obvious by now, but the topic of space intrigues me tremendously, and while I'll never see the planets in person, there exists a wonderful little simulator that lets you explore the cosmos, and that's a game called Universe Sandbox. It's barely a game. To be honest, it's more of a sandbox in outer space, create and destroy kind of thing. But when I was writing my book, which by the way is being edited right now, thank you to everyone who inspired me to finish it, by the way, I would use this program to visually see the planets. Again, it's not much of a game, but if you like tinkering with interstellar objects, this is a great time. Plus, you can play it in VR if you want to. And again, I am working on my book right now. It is finished. However, we are editing it. I want to make sure everything is perfect because I'm a stickler for perfection. At some point, it'll be out, and I'll let you know as soon as that happens. Damn! This is a Sierra heavy list, isn't it? You'll probably see another one on here. I just really enjoy Sierra games. They cared back then, long before they were acquired and ripped into what they are now. But this game, it is odd. Have you ever played Myst? If you have, you know that Myst is 100% one of those games where you have to sit down and really think. You need to use that gray matter to deduce what to do, because the game will not give you any advice other than the first note you find on the ground. Lighthouse is basically Sierra's Myst, if that makes sense. We start off at our house in Oregon. We have extremely strange neighbors that dabbled in the buffoonery, so much so that they unleashed a dark being, and that's all I'll say. This game can be frustrating, but to me, I had a blast playing it. If you enjoy Myst, you'll love this game. And if you don't, you probably won't. This game surprised me. I legit thought it was going to be some shithole bargain bin PC title I'd uninstall faster than it took to load. But man, let me tell you, Drome rocks. It's technically billed as a third-person shooter, but don't buy that marketing fluff. This is a full-blown vehicular combat game at its finest. You're thrown into the year 2057, a dystopian future where prisons are so overcrowded that the government's bright idea is to host a televised death match between inmates. Win, and you walk free. Lose, you die. The result is Twisted Metal meets Running Man, with industrial arenas, screaming metal soundtracks, and weapons that make every kill feel earned. You'll boost, dodge, and strafe through chaotic death pits while announcers cheer your brutality, and it's awesome. The sense of speed, the atmosphere, the raw underground sport energy, it all works. Honestly, I went in expecting trash, but Drome turned out to be a hidden gem from the DOS era that deserves way more love. It's gritty, it's stupidly fun, and it makes you feel like you're part of a late-night cable broadcast that probably got banned after one episode. This was actually Zipper Interactive's first game, the same folks who found their niche with SOCOM. Yeah, SOCOM US Navy SEALs. Or if you're a PS3 gamer, you might recall MAG. That was an epic game as well. This is our final Sierra game, I promise. This one's an oldie too. Back in the day, Sierra adventure games always had the word quest slapped at the end of them. Police Quest, Space Quest, King's Quest, even Quest for Glory, it was just their shtick. This entry serves as direct sequel to the original, In Pursuit of the Death Angel, where we once again play as Sonny Bonds, now escorting the villain from the last game to prison when of course he escapes. Cue another manhunt through the underbelly of Leiden, this time with higher stakes, more realism, and a serious tone that tried to replicate actual police procedure, down to checking your weapon before you leave the locker room. Unlike the goofy tone of Leisure Suit Larry or Space Quest, Police Quest 2 takes itself extremely seriously. You'll investigate crime scenes, file reports, call for backup, and even radio in traffic stops. Miss one step, and the game kills you faster than a bad decision in a King's Quest swamp. It's methodical, it's punishing, but it's also oddly satisfying once you start to think like a cop instead of a player. And I can see where people think it's outdated. Typing "put gun in holster" every 5 minutes gets old, but for the time, it was one of the most grounded adventure games out there. It felt like the kind of game your dad would play if he wanted to pretend that he was on an episode of Cops. Now, this is a recent game for me, and I'm eternally grateful to have completed it and actually enjoyed it because I cannot fucking stand Half-Life 1. Sue me! To me, it was not a fun game. But the sequel? Absolute banger. It follows up directly from the events of Half-Life 1, and the character we play as, Gordon Friedman, awakes from stasis on a train leading to City 17, where there's tons of bullshit going on. We meet familiar faces such as Barney the Guard or Dr. Isaac Kleiner, and a gang of other nerds going up against the Combine, doing tons of bullshit gimmicks that only a mother and Valve could love. But the good news is, for as long as the game felt, I was engaged every step of the way, which is something I can't say for most games that keep me in my chair longer than I need to be. The music, the ambiance, the weapons, the characters, everything felt right. The most recent game in the franchise was Half-Life Alyx. Now, why is that? Well, I'll be honest with you. Valve is allergic to the number 3. True story. Alyx is a VR game and it's a bridge arc between Half-Life 1 and 2. True story. So if you feel like checking it out, check it out. You know, this game is stupid. It's stupid, and I love it. I can't say that there are many games that last literally less than 60 seconds that didn't cause me to have a coronary. This one, it made me laugh the whole time. The game is exactly what you think it is. It's a 10-second long running game where we go through the entire gospel and save humanity in 10 seconds. The controls are simple. Arrow keys make you run, spacebar makes you do, and I quote, Jesus things. The game originated as a flash game on Newgrounds, and the reason it was made was because the creator had a project to do. The theme of the project was experimental gameplay under 10 seconds, so Run Jesus Run was created. Molde Industria has created tons of unique games that stem from political perspectives, so if you enjoy that, you might actually enjoy their games. And that's it for today's episode. What did you think of this list? Are there any games that you suggest people check out on the PC? Feel free to let the community know down in the comments below. Speaking of our community, if you made it to the end of this episode, you're already home with us. We're a gathering of video game enthusiasts that love to remember when life was just a little bit easier to live. And if you align with that, feel free to subscribe. Finally, the single most important thing you could do for me is to hit that thumbs up button, as it directly impacts the visibility of the videos and the projects that I work on every single day. As always, from my family to your family, good energy, good vibes. Fortefyre out.